All right. Hold up, player. Bang. What's up, YouTube? My name is CJ. This is CJ Knows Tech, where I love to talk tech and anything creative. And today we're talking about the MacBook Air. This is my follow-up review. If you haven't seen my initial unboxing and first impressions about the MacBook Air, I'll leave a link to that video at the end of this video or in the description. Back when I picked up the MacBook Air, the biggest decision to be made and the biggest argument in the tech community was, do you buy the MacBook Air or do you buy the base model, no touch bar MacBook Pro? Now granted, the MacBook Pro, power-wise and on paper, is more powerful than the MacBook Air. But it is also an older device, and it's not dated, but it's getting there. The MacBook Air, on the other hand, is a new generation, new release. It doesn't have a full all-on processor the way that the MacBook Pro does, or a dedicated graphics card. But trust me, that does not stop this MacBook Air from performing. Why? Because like most Apple products, the optimization. It handles productivity and mild creativity tasks without a doubt. As I said, this isn't a full-on CPU, it's more of a mobile CPU. So there are caveats and drawbacks to using the MacBook Air over the MacBook Pro. So we're gonna weigh back and forth on those, and I'm just really here to tell you about my user experience. The first thing you're gonna notice is the build of this bad boy. It's the typical Apple beautiful build, and it has this golden color, which I absolutely love. Gold MacBook Air with the gold iPhone. I know if you hate Apple, you're probably puking right now, but I don't care. Go ahead, puke all over yourself. This stuff is fly, clean, sleek. Yes, I'm talking about the look. The look does not matter when it comes to how this thing performs, but hey, it is a plus. Form factor is super thin, typical Apple fashion, headphone jack, and 2 USB-C/Thunderbolt 3 ports. These ports are absolutely amazing. Thunderbolt 3, it's like the best thing going right now. Like, the amount of things and capabilities you can do with Thunderbolt 3 is amazing. Yes, you gotta dongle it up. Matter of fact, here's a solution. Bam, right here, simple. It matches the gold perfectly. This is from Satechi. This is one of their USB-C. Gives you SD card, micro SD card reader, 2 USB-A type of ports, and a power delivery USB-C port right here. And they also have the one that doesn't have the cable. If you don't want the cable, the one that's just like dedicated and like kind of snaps onto the side that way. This is another quick USB to USB-A solution right here. Also, another accessory, I'm just throwing the accessories that I use. This is my user experience. This is the sleeve that I carry the MacBook Air around. You got a beautiful device like this. As I said, you definitely want to protect it and keep it in the sleeve. And also what the sleeve does is, in most laptop pockets on backpacks, they're usually rated for 15-inch. So the MacBook Air is pretty small in that area. But if you put it inside this Tomtoc sleeve and then you slide it in there, it makes it a lot more snug and a lot more safe. As soon as you open this bad boy up, you're gonna notice this beautiful Retina display. The display does not disappoint. It's not the craziest over-the-top display. I watch a lot of YouTube, a lot of content. I'm on Twitter, emails, pages, typing, tit for tat, this and that. It looks great. It handles exactly what I need to do. Now, one of the things that most people were fussing about in comparison to the MacBook Pro is the nits, how bright the display is. Granted, it's not the brightest display. The performance I've gotten out of the MacBook Air, even outside, it's been usable. I'm able to use it. Now, granted, there are times where you're getting reflections and so forth, not so usable. Just change your angle. Be conscious of how you sit and set it up, look it up, make sure it's gonna work. But the majority of my use, the display has been absolutely amazing and fine, and it works just as I need it to. Let's talk about performance. This thing performs. Now, I'm a creative. I use high performance and creativity, which makes more sense for me to have gotten a MacBook Pro. But this device isn't necessarily for heavy lifting and creativity for me. It's more of just productivity on the go. You know what I mean? It's a bigger screen for me to multitask with, as opposed to like an iPad Pro or something of that matter. I got the MacBook Air. With that being said, I did do a test. I put Adobe Premiere Pro on here, which is not the best editing option on any Mac. It's not optimized for Mac or Apple computers, but that's how you test how good your Apple or Mac computer is as far as video editing, in my opinion, because if it can do anything with Premiere Pro, it's guaranteed. You already know with Final Cut is gonna be a breeze. So I put a I think it was a 1080 project file on the MacBook Air in Premiere Pro, and I rendered it. Now the render speeds, I mean, come on, the render time was not the greatest, it was not the fastest, but it did render the project. Granted, yes, the fans were kicking up, or the fan, shall I say. This thing has one fan in it, I believe. So the fan kicked on. But the processor in here does not need the fan, but the fan is there. I mean, I'm pushing Premiere Pro in here, but it did render the project with a successful working video file. Now, if I wanted to do video editing on here, 100% I would get Final Cut. So if you're looking at this device and you're creative, hopefully this isn't meant to be your heavy lifting, but if you're doing lightweight, if you're moving just 1080 lightweight files, and if you're gonna use Final Cut, you can get what you need to get done on the MacBook Air. Now your fan might kick on every now and then to keep it 1,000, but you can get some things done. Now heavy lifting, I would highly recommend you probably go near a MacBook Pro or in something of that sort. And speaking of heavy lifting with this device, you got to think about how you configure it before you actually put it to use. You're gonna probably want to up the RAM in that case, and also the storage space on here. But once you start doing that with Apple, we all know they tax you when you make memory upgrades. Anything of an upgrade on an Apple device is gonna cost a pretty penny. So keep that in mind. Look at the price you get into as you build up the MacBook Air, and look at the comparative prices with the new MacBook Pros. I'm talking about like the newer ones with the actual touch bar, because you might wanna go in that area. You're gonna spend more, but overall, I think in the long term, you're gonna get more. It gets pricey, just in all reality. So my MacBook Air is configured with a bigger hard drive. I went with the 256, and I left it at 8 gigs of RAM. So I didn't build this thing for craziness. In my user experience, another key use of the MacBook Air that fits into the Apple ecosystem, which is a real thing. I made a video about how the Apple ecosystem is a trap. You should go ahead and check it out. I'm really proud of that video, and hopefully you will enjoy it too. It fits into my Apple ecosystem. Like say if I'm typing up, I start an idea here on the iPhone, but then I wanna move to a bigger screen, a full keyboard to finish out that idea, or plan out that scene or video, or do bullet points. I can pick up here on the MacBook Air with the beauty of that ecosystem and continue what I started. A big use for this thing is watching content. Instead of me watching YouTube on this device, which a lot of people do, nothing wrong with that. I like big screens. I love to watch YouTube on this device when I'm out on the go. So I'm pulling up YouTube videos and I'm watching them. The viewer experience on this device is great. The screen looks good. The speakers, these speakers sound absolutely amazing. They're very loud, very pronounced, and they sound great. From me having to use this for that, to me being able to use this for that. And that's what I love about it. Now, a big concern with a lot of people is the keyboard. This is one of those, Apple keyboards. You know what I'm talking about, man. So far, I haven't had any issues, thankfully. And I'm telling you, I carry this thing everywhere. But I'm keeping it inside of a sleeve at all times when it's in travel. And then I'm pulling it out, I'm using it, and trust me, I've gotten this thing pretty dirty. Like I'm eating around it. I'm using this on like lunch breaks, and just in general, I haven't been the nicest. I haven't babied this thing. I've put it through a lot. There's a lot of food that has been wiped off of this keyboard and this mouse pad, and I haven't had any issues. I just want to attest to that. The durability thus far, as I say thus far, has been fine for me. Maybe I got lucky. And to add on to the ecosystem, you see I got my AirPods right here. AirPods link and sync to this directly. Like AirPods are already in my iCloud account and so forth. So literally I didn't have to do any pairing. I just go into the settings, go to audio, click on my AirPods, and my AirPods are ready to use with this. So on the go, convenience, doing the productivity, multitasking, opening emails, watching having a Twitter feed going, as well as YouTube videos, being able to do all of that simultaneously on the go. That has been the absolute convenience of this device for me. Now, if this is gonna be your main device and you're gonna be doing a lot with it, I'll consider how you build it, number one. But another thing to really think about is the other options, the MacBook Pro. Consider that. I'm not trying to 100% just tell you, oh, get a MacBook Air over a MacBook Pro. But if your lifting is similar to mine's, or maybe even slightly heavier, but not over the top heavy, you can skate under the radar with something like this. But make sure you configure some RAM, increase the storage on board. You know, you wanna offload to portable storage often if you're gonna be using this as your main device. But like I said, that's what I'm saying. You have to configure it accordingly and dependent upon your needs. And after that price gets up there, consider what the other options have, and you might have to spend a little bit more, but you might get a lot more. So just keep that in mind. This device is always on sale. Literally every time I look up, it is on sale. And probably when I drop the link in the description below right now, go ahead and click it, is more than likely on sale. So I always want to throw that out there, that you can always find this under retail, which is a plus. Honestly, that's the way I would tell you to get it. Get it under retail if this is something that you're shopping. If need be, try it, don't like it, take it back. I ain't afraid to tell you that. But for me, thus far, this thing has been wonderful, beautiful. I love the gold finish. I love the performance I'm getting out of this thing. Yeah, I'm in the ecosystem, but hey, you know how I roll, man.